Hi students, in this video we are going to solve this problem. I read this question: evaluate 114.8 into 0.006281 whole divided by cube root of 30.07. You know that this problem is a complicated problem if we use normal mathematical steps. So we can solve this problem using logarithmic concept. So we will assume that the entire expression final value is equal to x. So let x is equal to this expression. After that we know that we have to take log on both sides. When we take log on both sides, in the left hand side we get log x is equal to log of. When we apply log here, it is in the form of m divided by n. So using that property we can write it as log m minus log n. After that, here if you look at it, it is in the form of m into n, product form. So it can be written as log 114.8 plus log 0.006281 minus, you know that this can be written as 1 by power 30.07 to the power of 1 by 3. Using the log property we can bring this 1 by 3 to the front, so we get this expression. After this we need to calculate the log of 114.8 and then logarithmic value of this expression, logarithmic value of this expression. If you look at this expression, this value is greater than 1. Hence, in order to calculate the characteristics, we will use the property that the number of digits in the integral part minus 1. The number of digits in the integer part is 3 and minus 1 is 2. So characteristics of this log is 2. That is what is written here. And then we need to calculate the mantissa for this expression. In order to calculate the mantissa, we must ignore the decimal points. We must consider the row in which the value 11 exists and then the column 4. The meeting point of the row which contains 11 and the column 4 will give us the value of 0.0569. If you look at the logarithmic table, you will get this expression. After that, you have to look for the same row which contains 11, and in the mean difference we will find out the column which contains the value 8. Meeting point of those two will give us the value of 31. So when we add it, we get the mantissa of 0.0600. So logarithmic value of 114.8 is 2.0600, and then we need to calculate the logarithm value of this expression. Here this value is less than 1. Hence the formula we use to find the characteristics is number of zeros immediately after the decimal point. That is, in the right hand side of the decimal points we must check immediately how many zeros are there. Here we have 2 zeros and then we need to add 1 with that, so we will get 3. Then we put minus sign. So characteristics of this logarithmic value is 3 bar, and then without considering decimal point or anything, we should look for mantissa. So in the row which contains 62, and we should consider the column which contains 8. Meeting point of those two will give us the value of 0.7980, and then the same row which contains 62, and in mean difference column we have to find the column which contains 1. Meeting point of those two gives us 0, 1. When we add these two, we get the final value of 0.7981. This is the mantissa of this logarithmic expression. So you can look at this. After that, we need to calculate the value of this log 30.7. Since 30.07 is greater than 1, in order to find the characteristics, we will use the formula number of digits in the integral part minus 1. Here number of digit is 2 and minus 1 is give. So characteristics of log 30 is 1. Then then we need to look for mantissa. To look for mantissa, we will look at the row in which contains value 30 and then the column which contains 0. Meeting point of those two gives us 0.4771. This one is characteristics. Actually it must be 0.4711. After that, the row which contains 30 and the mean difference column we have to look for 7. These two meeting point gives us 70. So when we add it, we get the final value of log 30.07 is 1.4781. This 0.4781 is the mantissa and 1 is the characteristic we calculated. So now we know the value of log these three expressions. Those values can be substituted in the expression, so we get this expression. You know that here 3 is negative, but this mantissa 0.7981 is positive, and then we need to divide this value divided by 3, we get this, and then we need to do the simplification. When we do the simplification, we get the final answer as minus 0.634x. Here characteristics is negative as well as mantissa is negative, but mantissa must be always positive. Hence what we will do is, as you know very well, we will add +1 and -1. This -1 has been written as 1 bar. Now if we add this 1 with this minus 0.63446, we get this 36.54. This is positive. Now the characteristics is negative, mantissa is positive. So log x is equal to 1 bar 0.3654. This log can be transferred to opposite side as anti-log. So we need to calculate the anti-log of this expression. So what we need to do is, first we need to look at the anti-log table for this mantissa. In anti-log table, we must look for the row which contains 0.36 and the column which contains 5. Meeting point of those two gives us the value of 2317, and then mean difference value 4 and the row 36. Meeting point produces 0.2. When we add it, we get this expression, right? 2.319, and then we have to place the decimal point here. Here 1 bar is there. 1 bar is there means when the value is negative, the formula is characteristics of the log divided by -1. So here characteristics of the log is -1 divided by -1 means it will give answer 1 plus 1, and it has to be subtracted from -1. So 1 minus 1 gives us 0. So number of digits immediately after the number of zeros immediately after the decimal point should be no zeros. So we don't put zeros here. I hope you understand this. So this is the final value of this expression. I hope you understand this problem. Now we will move on to the next problem. The problem is evaluate square root of 24.71 into 0.9246 whole divided by 512. We need to calculate this expression value using logarithm. So as a first step, we will assume that the final numerical value of this expression is equal to x, and then we will take log on both sides. So taking log on both sides, we get log x is equal to log of 24.71 into 0.9246 whole power half minus log of 512 to the power of half, because we know that the square root can be written in this form. When we take log on both sides, it is in the form of log m divided by n. When log m divided by n means it can be written as log m minus log n concept. After that, using the power of this concept, this half can be brought down. So we brought it down, and then if you look at this, it is in the form of log m into n. So this can be written as log m plus log n. So we have written it this as log 512 as it is. Now we need to calculate the log of these three expressions, and then we can substitute the values, and then we will simplify it. First we should calculate the characteristics of log 24.71. This 24.71 is greater than 1. Hence we need to find out how many digits are there in the integral part. Otherwise, how many digits are there in the left hand side of the decimal point? There are 2 digits. So the formula is number of digits in the integral part minus 1. So 1. The characteristics of log 24.71 is 1, and then we will look for the mantissa. In order to calculate the mantissa, we will ignore this decimal point. We will look at the row which contains 24 and the column which contains 7. Meeting point of those will give us the value, and then we will look for the mean difference 1, and finally we get this value. Log 24.71 is, as we calculated characteristics 1, the mantissa is 0.3929. Here this expression is less than 1. When the value is less than 1, in order to calculate the characteristics, we must look for the number of zeros immediately after the decimal point, that is right hand side of the decimal point. How many zeros are there immediately, that we need to check. Here no zeros are there, and then plus 1, so 0 plus 1 is 1, and then we put minus sign, so we put 1 bar. And then in order to calculate the mantissa, ignoring this decimal point, we will look at the row which contains 92 and the column 4. Meeting point of those two will give us one value, and then the same row 92 and the meeting point of column in mean difference division. Meeting point of those two give another value. Adding this, we get this expression, and then log 512. Similarly we will calculate it, and then we will simplify it. We divided by 2, we get this expression. Final expression value is minus 0.6752. We know that mantissa must be positive. Here mantissa is negative. In order to convert the mantissa into positive, we add plus 1 and minus 1. This minus 1 has been written as 1 bar, and then this along with this 1 we are adding minus 0.6752. we get the value of 0.3248. Now we will log x is equal to this expression, from which we can say x is equal to anti-log of 1 bar 0.3248. In order to calculate the mantissa, in the anti-log table we will look at the row which contains 32 and the column 4, and then mean difference division we will look for the column which contains 8, and we will find out the meeting point of row 32 and this 8, and finally we get this, right? And then in order to place the decimal point, we have to look at the characteristics. Here characteristics of the log is minus 1. That minus 1 should be divided by minus 1 as per the formula, so it becomes plus 1, and then we will subtract the result by minus 1. So 1 minus 1 gives us 0. So number of zeros immediately after the decimal point is no zero. That's why after the decimal point we don't put any zeros. I hope you understand this. If you understand the previous videos of logarithm and anti-logarithm, you will be very clear with this. Thank you students. Thanks for your cooperation. With this we are completing logarithmic concept. Thank you students.